Hi there, my beautiful beings. How are you today? So there was something new coming up at the end of the last video, and I thought I'd bring it through in this one when we're talking about beliefs and how they create our reality. Now, as I was growing up, and I think it might be in Your Past is a Gift. I can't remember if I shared that. I think I did. There's a lot that I couldn't include because otherwise the book would have been 5 times as big. So I had to really sift through and think, is this important enough to include? Okay, let's include it. And or should it be included? You know, we couldn't include everything that was I originally wrote. So the belief was, as I was growing up, for some reason, for whatever reason, my mum in her little, where she grew up, I'm trying to think, it's not a town, it was just a little, it's not even a suburb, let's call it a little suburb where she grew up. There was this girl that died at the age of 10, and the circumstances were that she was having a shower whilst having her period. And apparently she had a stroke, an aneurysm, and she died. So my mum grew up with this belief, because of that event, that if you have a shower when you have your period, it leads to a brain aneurysm, like you'll have a stroke and you will die. This is what she grew up with. So when I came along and then I got my first period, guess what? I wasn't allowed to shower while I had my period. And even less, wash my hair. I wasn't allowed to wash my hair because for some reason that was what gave this girl the stroke. And that's how she died. This belief, not only did it drag through my mum's childhood, and I'm not even sure if it was in her childhood or it was before that this belief was already there, had been created, but it got dragged through mine. My whole childhood, while I was at home, I wasn't allowed to shower or wash my hair. The wash your hair was the worst thing because you would die. If you had your period, the rest of the month you could do whatever you want. But if you had your period, you couldn't do that in my house. Which leads me to another belief of a story this beautiful lady was telling. Oh my goodness. So of course, when I left home, I started showering all the time. I didn't care if I had them. And the funny thing was, the first few times I tried, I was just waiting for it. You know, I'd have a shower and then I'd be all day thinking, oh my God, am I going to die now? Am I going to die? Am I going to die? And the first time I washed my hair when I had my period, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die now. I'm going to die any minute now. I'm going to have this stroke. I'm going to die. And that's been years now. It's been 30 years that I've been showering and washing my hair and I'm still here. Right? That was the first belief that I grew up with because it happened to someone in her village. If you want to call it village, is a more appropriate word for where she grew up. Couldn't find the right word before. The second story I wanted to tell was this gorgeous lady. Every Christmas they would bake these hams. And she grew up with this tradition through her mother, through her grandmother, right? That you would buy this huge ham and you would cut off the ends. For whatever reason, this is how she grew up. And then you would bake it in the oven. And then one day, many, many years after doing this as a grown-up for her family, she decides to ask her grandmother, Grandmother, why do we do this? Why do we have to cut off the ends of the ham before we put it into the oven to bake it for our Christmas lunch or dinner or whatever it was? I think it was for her Christmas dinner. This was their tradition. And the grandmother looked at her and she said, because when I was young and I had to bake the ham, my oven was so small that the whole thing would not fit in. So we had to cut off the ends of it to make it fit into my tiny little oven. So all this time they'd been throwing out the ends for decades, for generations, because the grandmother didn't have an oven big enough. But they just kept doing that for years, for decades, because they thought that there was a reason behind it. If Grandma cuts it off, there must be a reason that we don't need those parts. No one stopped to ask her, why do we cut those bits off? Why? And this is the problem with beliefs and judgments because the beliefs create the judgments that we have. That's why I wanted to share that beautiful story about the motorbike community that I met. And yes, they have tattoos, and yes, they drink alcohol, and most of them smoked and smoked cigarettes. But like I said, there were lawyers amongst them. There were, corporate people. It wasn't just gangsters or whatever idea we had that motorbike riders are, and that's all they are. Because it's not. There's a lot of good people that ride bikes that have nothing to do with that whole scenario of gangs, motorbike gangs. The majority are not in gangs. They ride because they love riding. So today, our invitation is for you to really look at your beliefs. Look at your beliefs, look at your judgments. Where did they come from? Are they even true? Are they even relevant now? Or are you just on autopilot? You just keep doing that because, well, we've been doing that forever. I'd still be not showering while I have periods. And it's like one of the worst times to not be showering because of what's going on down there. You want to be clean. That just for me, my whole childhood, I just felt wrong. Going through those 4 or 5 days, not being able to shower. I had to clean with a cloth or, the ways we were doing things didn't feel right. I didn't feel clean after like you do with a shower. It didn't feel right, but you couldn't question it because, you're going to die if you do it. The belief was so strong because of one person that happened. And I'm sure it had nothing to do with her having her periods. People have strokes all the time. Otherwise, men would never have strokes. If you have to have your period and you have to be in the shower, men would never have strokes. It would be a woman thing. So what are you holding on to? What belief do you have that's shaping your reality that you no longer need to hold on to? It no longer serves you. All these beliefs we have about alcoholics, all these judgments. Drug addicts. Just sit with yourself for a minute and think of alcoholics. And what does that bring up for you? Whether it's for you as an alcoholic or you share your life with an alcoholic or you have friends that are alcoholics or family members. Sometimes we're affected by, siblings, parents that are alcoholics, and we had to grow up with that. That is your experience. That's what you came to experience. What does it feel like growing up with an alcoholic? What does it feel like living with an alcoholic as a partner? What does it feel like when your siblings are alcoholics? How does it affect you? Not judge their life and what they're going through and all the rest of it. How does it affect you? Because this is your life. We established that in the previous video. It's not about them. It's never about them. It's about you. If it bothers you, why does it bother you? Is there something there you feel responsible? It's your job to fix that. It's your job to change that. Just today I'm driving back thinking, it's like, say for example, you're with your partner and your partner's an alcoholic, right? And I had this analogy as I was driving today to do these videos. And the analogy would be, your partner wants to go to Hawaii, but you're hell-bent on they have to go to Paris. But they've got everything ready. They want to have that experience of Hawaii. I want to go to the beaches and I want to be in Hawaii and I want to be in that paradise setting. And you're like, nah, I'm not having that. You're not going to Hawaii. You're going to Paris because I've decided that Paris is what you need, not Hawaii. Paris. I've decided that this is what you need. But you don't even know what their path is. You don't even know what their soul is trying to experience. What is their soul? What is it chosen for them? And it is as simple as that. That they're choosing one thing for themselves and you're saying, you know what, that's not right. Let me choose for you. This is how your life should look. This is better for you. Not knowing what their path is at all, because you don't have information for their path. You only have information for yours. And it's designed that way for a reason, because this is your life. This is your experience. You don't get to experience it through them. They affect you, and then that's your experience. You're affected by this person that's an alcoholic. But that's their choice, not yours. Same with your children. Whatever your children are choosing for their life choices, their path. It's not for you to decide, oh, this is better for you. This is the best thing for you. You don't know their path. You don't know. You don't know. Just the other day, I was talking to someone and I was saying to them that as a child, I would always be staring at others to make eye contact. And as soon as we made eye contact, I would smile. And 9 times out of 10, they would smile back because I was a kid. They'd always smile back. You'd have the occasional one that was, so distressed or whatever they were going through that would look away. They wouldn't even. But because you were a child, they didn't react in a negative way to you either. They would just look away. I never had someone tell me off for looking at them, except for my mum. Because she was always, this is a dangerous world and you're too trusting. Stop trying to talk to people. Stop trying to smile at people. You're too innocent. And this world is not safe. It's dangerous. Things are taken away from you. She'd already lost her parents at the age of 5. So of course she had that belief in her system. The things that matter the most can be taken away in a second. This is not a safe place. It's very dangerous, according to her. And then what happened? I thought, because as a child, you always think that everyone's like this, right? All children are like this. They're all innocent and they all want to talk to grown-ups and say hi and smile at them and have conversations. And then I had my daughter. And my daughter was the opposite of opposites. We would meet the same person over and over. We'd be on our walks and we'd meet all our beautiful neighbors and I'd stop to chat to them. And originally she was in the pram, but when she was older and we'd walk to the park, if we bumped into a neighbor, which she'd met quite a few times by now, and she'd see me speaking to them, she knew they weren't strangers. They were people I knew. She would still hide behind me, not wanting to be seen, not wanting to have an interaction with this being. Complete opposite. And it was through her that I realized, hang on a minute, I didn't teach her that. If anything, I was always telling her to come out and say hello to this person. They wanted to see her. They wanted to see her growing up. They wanted to see her evolving. They all knew my story of so many years not being able to fall pregnant. Over 15 years, I was in this neighborhood for most of it. So they all knew, so they knew that she was an absolute miracle when she came, And that's what I realized, hang on, we're not all the same as children, because I didn't teach her that. If anything, I was trying to get her to, and when people would give her things, for her to say thank you was like pulling teeth. It took a really long time before she would say thank you. And I was like, they can't hear you. You need to speak up. And by that stage, the person had already walked away, but she was even too shy to say thank you to these people that were constantly giving her things. And toys, clothes. We were given so many things for her when she was born. So much. Talk about abundance. We seem to think that abundance has to do with money. And in that moment when she was born, I was shown the true meaning of abundance. We were given so much for her that I didn't have to pay a cent for. They were just giving it to us because these beautiful beings, they'd already raised their kids were already old enough, they didn't need any of this, from the cot to the pram to the blankets. We were given so many things. Toys, We had so many toys for her. And dresses. When she was little, she was given all these beautiful princess dresses. So I didn't have to worry about, oh, that cost me $50. Be careful with it. She would go to the park and play in the park in her princess dresses. And I didn't have to care because they were given to her. They were given. So, my beautiful beings, beliefs, judgments, how are they shaping your reality? Our invitation for you today is to actually look at your beliefs. Is that even real? Is it even true? Or is it like the ham? That the oven was just too small. And yet you're still following this pattern. Continuing this pattern because of this belief that it must be important because everyone else did it while I was growing up. Sometimes when it comes to alcoholics especially, or drug addicts, we blame ourselves. That somehow we've done something. It's our fault somehow that this person is drinking or this person is taking drugs. We've let them down somehow. It was never your responsibility. It was never your job. And that person, as we said before, that habit is there for a reason. They've gone through something that has affected them in such a way that they feel they need this. They can't manage a day without it. And many times it's because they don't want to feel what they need to feel to heal it. They just don't want to feel it. It's too painful for them. And that's their journey. That's what their soul came to experience. Remember, we're not here for just love and peace and joy every minute of every single day. We're already that in our natural state. We come here for everything else. This is what remembering is. When we remember who we truly are. That we didn't come here for all of that. That's what we get to be in our eternal, infinite state. Unconditional love. Boundless joy. Boundless. It has no bounds. Infinite peace that goes on forever. When you remember that this is who you truly are, then you can relax into, oh, okay, I can have this experience, and stop judging it. Stop judging that I shouldn't be an alcoholic. Stop judging that my partner shouldn't be an alcoholic. You know, what was coming through this morning as well as I was driving back home to create these videos is that our bodies, because this was one of the things that had come up in the comment, something about my body and it being a divine temple or something. Our bodies suffer more and are damaged more with unforgiveness and resentment than we can possibly damage that with alcohol and cigarettes. The diseases that we create in our body are created with our emotions, our beliefs. We're going to talk more about this in the next one. It's just come up now, but it's too long to fit in at the end of this one. So for this one, we're just inviting you to look at your beliefs. Do you need them anymore? Where did they come from? Are they even valid? Are they true? All of these questions. All right, my beautiful beings. We love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.